Well, good morning, all my friends. Well, lots going on in the news. Zuckerberg's being drilled right now by Congress, and I didn't. I saw a little bit of it. Just seems like more of a rehash of yesterday. But really, folks, if you think your privacy is private, it's not. Ever since we had the FBI, our privacy has been invaded. You have the NSA. Hello. And what is the three big credit companies doing about it? Zilch and nada, to keep our privacy private. So, you have to do your part. You have to become educated to know what you need to do on these social media pages like Facebook and Instagram, and know that they're affiliated, for one, and that anytime you sign in with Facebook to a certain app, or sign with Facebook, like I did that with like Amazon or something, I forget what, and but my stuff, you have to go into your profile, you have to physically click on things, but then again, is it really safe? Is it really private still? I don't think so. So that's my mindset on it. And then, of course, Speaker Ryan decides he's not going to run for re-election next year. He wants to spend time with his kids. And so that's what's going on politically, the big news this morning, and how it can impact the November elections. I'm really not that political, guys. I just, I don't like all that infighting, and I just want you to just do what you're supposed to do for the people civically, and yeah. What else is going on? Hopefully going to be working on some music this weekend with my new buddy friend Brian, and yeah, so going to be doing some of that hopefully Friday. We'll see what's going on. My heart goes out to the Syrian kids and all the people who are suffering, under this maniac. And now we really, really need to figure out how to get peace in the world. Can we be so stupid? Really? Are we that dinosauric? I don't know. Anyway, it's my little rant this morning. All right, we've stopped on page 125 according to my video, and I'm just going to keep reading here. I'm almost done. There's not. This book it's the Swedenborg Sampler. So it's giving you several samples of books and gives you an idea who Swedenborg is and everything. And so anyway, I'm just going to continue reading. If there was previously unrecognized reason why evils could not be set aside apart from this examination, this bringing to light, this recognition, this confession, and this resistance, I have already mentioned that heaven overall is arranged in communities according to people's desires for what is good, and that hell overall is arranged in communities according to desires for what is evil, that are opposite to those desires for what is good. As to our spirits, each of us in some community, in a heavenly one when our good desires are in control, and in a hellish one when our evil desires are in control. We are unaware of this while we are living in the world, but in spirit that is where we are. We could not go on living otherwise, and that is how the Lord is guiding us. I had a hard one with this, this was hard for me to wrap my brain around. I don't know about you guys, but it was hard for me. If we're in a hellish community, the only way the Lord can lead us out is under the laws of his divine providence. One of them says that we must see that we are there, must want to get out, must ourselves make an effort with what seems to be our own strength. We can do this while we are in this world, but not after death. When we stay forever in the community, we're joined in this world. It's why we need to examine ourselves, see and acknowledge our sins, repent, remain constant for the rest of our life. That's a hard pill to swallow. If you generally have a problem, it doesn't mean that you're going to not have a problem again in the future. If it's still there to the side, you've got these voices going all the time, right? Good and bad. And you know when to recognize the good and when to recognize the bad. And to keep things at bay. It's a constant battle, It's not easy thing to do. And, I find that hard to fathom, okay? I could support this with enough experience to warrant complete belief, but this is not the place to bring up the proofs or experiences. Okay, so I read that before. To the extent their evils are set aside, they are forgiven. One currently popular misconception is that our evils are taken from us and discarded when they are forgiven, and that the state of our life can be changed instantly, even totally reversed, so that we can become good instead of evil. This would be leading us out of hell and transporting us instantaneously into heaven, all by some direct mercy of the Lord. However, people who hold this kind of belief or thought have no idea whatever of what evil and good really are, or what the state of our own life is. They are utterly unaware that the feelings of our volition are simply shifts and changes of state of purely organic substances of our minds, that the thoughts of our discernment are simply shifts and changes of their forms. Memory is the ongoing effect of these changes. This enables us to see clearly that evil can be taken away only gradually, that the forgiveness of evil is not the same as its removal. This, though, is presenting the ideas in condensed form. If they're not explained to a greater length, they can be recognized but not grasped. If they're not grasped, then that is like a wheel that we turn by hand. We need to explain these propositions then one at a time in the order just given. Our currently popular misconception is that our evils are taken from us and discarded when they are forgiven. I have been taught in heaven that no evil that we are born with or that we ourselves adopt by behavior is taken completely away from us. Evils are set aside so that they no longer are visible. Like so many other people in the world, I used to believe that when our evils are forgiven, they are thrown away just like dirt, rinsed and washed away from our faces by water. This is not what it is like with our evils or sins, though. They are all still there. They are forgiven after we repented. They're moved from the center to the side. Whatever's in the middle is right in front of our eyes, seems to be in our broad daylight. What is off to the side seems to be in the shade, or at times even the dark of night. Since our evils are not taken completely away, then they are displaced or put off to the side, and since we can be transported from the center to the boundaries, it can happen that we once again get involved in evils we thought we had left behind. But see, that part bothers me, It is part of our own nature that we can move from one desire to another, sometimes into an opposite one. This means that we can move from one center to another. A desire determines our center. As long as we are caught up in it, then we are absorbed in its pleasure and its light. there are some people who are raised from heaven by the Lord after death because they have lived a good life, but who bring with them a belief that they are free and clean from sins and therefore holy without guilt. At first they're given white robes that reflect this belief, since the white robes portray a state of having been purified from evils. Later, though, they begin to think that the way that they did in the world, to think that they have been washed clean from all evil, so they can boast that they are no longer sinners like everyone else. It's almost impossible to separate this from a kind of mental high that includes a measure of looking down on others. So at this point, in order to be free from them that have faith they imagine they are sent down from heaven and back into the evils they had fallen prey to in the world. This shows them that they have inherited evils that they had not known about before. This brings them to admit that their evils have not been taken away from them, but only set aside, and that they themselves are still unclean and in fact nothing but evil. And it is the Lord who is protecting them from their evils and keeping them focused on those good qualities. And all this seems to be their own doing. Once this has happened, the Lord brings them back up into heaven. A second popular misconception is that the state of our life can be changed instantly, that we become good instead of evil. This would be leading us out of hell and transporting us instantly into heaven by some direct mercy of the Lord. This is a misconception of people who separated charity from faith, attributed salvation to faith alone. That is, they think that the mere thought and utterance of a statement of that faith, performed with trust and confidence, will justify and save them. Many of them also think that this can happen instantaneously, either before the hour of death or as it approaches. They cannot avoid believing the state of our life can be changed in an instant, and that we can be saved by direct mercy. We shall see in the last section of this book, though, that the Lord's mercy does not operate in this direct way, that we cannot become good instead of evil in an instant and be led out of hell, transported into heaven, except by the ongoing efforts of divine providence from our infancy to the end of our lives. At this point, we may rest the case simply on the fact that all the laws of divine providence are aimed at our reformation and therefore at our salvation, which means inverting the hellish state into which we are born into its opposite, a heavenly state. This can be done only gradually as we move away from evil and its pleasure and move into good and its pleasure. The people who hold this kind of belief have no idea whatever of what evil and good really are. They do not really know that evil is the pleasure we find in the urge to act and think in volition of the divine pattern. That goodness is the pleasure we feel when we act and think in harmony with the divine pattern. They do not realize that there are thousands of individual impulses that go to make up any particular evil, and that there are thousands of individual impulses that go up to make up any particular good tendency. These thousands of impulses are so precisely structured and so intimately interconnected within us all that no single one of them can be changed without changing all the rest at the same time. If people are unaware of this, they can entertain the belief or the thought that an evil that seems to be all by itself can be set aside easily, and that something good that also seems to be all by itself can be brought in to replace it, since they do not know what good and evil are. They cannot help thinking that there are such things as instantaneous salvation and direct mercy. The last section of this book will show that this is not possible. Okay, so I'm going to stop there because I'm going to run out of time. Anyway, Zuckerberg's on the hot seat, and he doesn't look very happy about it. Anyway, well, I don't trust that guy anyway. He stole from two buddies at Harvard. That the whole idea of Facebook. So Are you surprised? Really? Okay. Have a great Wednesday.